Hello, this is going to be a preview of sample ACT problems. This is a math section, this is a 2016, and what we've done is I've taken the official ACT material and took that math preparation section they have. I'm going over all these problems, and we have 60 questions, 60 minutes. So I'm going to try to keep this video shorter than an hour because a question per minute, that'd be an hour, but we're just going to go over these, and I'm not going to I'm going to advise you, as I would if you're not looking for a perfect score or close to a perfect score in the math section. You just have to use your time wisely, and if you get to a problem that stymies you, just guess and go, and perhaps you have time, you can come back to it. Anyway, this is problem one, blood type. You have 150 people total. What's the probability that a randomly chosen person has A or AB type blood? And so what you have here is you have this bar chart, bar graph, where you have the A blood is going to be 67 people, and the AB blood is going to be 6 people, and you have 150 total, and so that's going to be 73 over 150. So for this one, it should be a pretty easy one. Answer choice D. Next problem. Monthly fees for a room at 5 colleges are $370, $310, $380, $340, $310. And average, a mean, this word mean means average. So if we take these three figures here, 370 plus 310 plus 380 plus 340 plus 310, and you could do this definitely much faster than I'm even writing this on your calculator, and divide this by 5, you're going to get $342. And so that's answer choice H. Should be a very easy one with a calculator. Problem 3, on a road trip, 1/2 inch represents 18 miles. About how many miles apart are two towns that are 2.5 inches apart on the map? Well, what you're looking for is this 2.5, which I'll write as 2.5. How many times will 1/2 or 0.5 go into 2.5? So you could look at it different ways, but when you do the math on this, 2.5 divided by 0.5 is going to be 5. And just for common sense aspect, if you can take 5 1/2 inch segments in a 2.5 inch length, and so that's, you're going to have 5 of those 1/2 inches, which you're going to have to then multiply by 18, and when you do that, you're going to get 90 as your correct answer. Answer choice E. So anyway, I'm going to go to problem 4. Given F equals CD cubed and F equals 450, D equals 10, what is C? And so if you write this equation out as F equals 450, the left side is equal to C, and C is what we don't know, and D is 10. We have 10 cubed. Well, 10 cubed is 10 times 10 times 10, or 1,000. So our C is going to be equal to 450 divided by 1,000. It should be pretty apparent that the answer to this is F. Next problem, if f of x equals 23x plus 7 squared, what is f of 1? So for this, we can replace that x with 1, and what we have is 10 squared, which equals 100. So that's answer choice E. Should be an easy one. Next problem, 6. Jorge's hourly pay rate is $12 per hour. If Jorge gets a 6% pay raise, what will be his new hourly wage? Now for me, what I would do is I would take this 12 and multiply this by 1.06. Now the 1 includes is the $12 itself. The 0.06 is what you add to it. So it could be like 12, be the same as 12 plus 12 times 0.06. And if you multiply this out on your calculator, you're going to get 1272, which is answer choice H. Next problem, 7. The first term is 1 in the geometric sequence, 1, comma, negative 3, comma, 9, comma, negative 27. What is the 7th term in this geometric sequence? In my pre-calculus class, we haven't covered sequence and series yet this year, but there's a pattern. So if you have the first term is 1, in geometric sequence you multiply to get to the succeeding term. So the second term is going to be negative 3 times 1. So we would say R, which is your common ratio, is negative 3. The number you multiply by one term to get to the succeeding term. Well, the fourth term is 9. Of course, the negative 27 is, actually negative 27 is the fourth term. The fifth term is negative 27 times negative 3, which is 81. And then for the sixth term, you take 81 times negative 3, which is negative 243. And for the seventh term, we have negative 3 times negative 243, which is 729. So we have that. And then in the pre-calculus, we have a sub n equals a sub 1 times r to the power n minus 1. And so for this, it would be a sub 7 equals 1 times negative 3 to the power of 6. You will get 729. Next, 8. You have a table here. Greg wants to ship a 15-pound box. How much will it cost? Well, you have to correctly identify where to go. And 15 pounds will be right here in this middle row in this table. And for that, the formula is going to be $10 as a fixed fee plus 0.65 times the number of pounds, which is 15. And for that, you're going to get $19.75, which is answer choice H. Next problem, 9. We have a computer chip, 0.32 centimeters thick, has a top and bottom layer of 0.03 centimeters thick. If the inner layers are 0.02 centimeters thick each, how many inner layers are there? Well, for this, for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to forget about the decimal thing. I'm just going to say it's 32. And so we're going to subtract out 3. So this 0.03 becomes 3, this 0.02 becomes 2, this 0.32 becomes 32. And so we're going to subtract out the top layer and the bottom layer, and we have 32 minus 3 minus 3, we're going to get 26. And with that 26, we're going to take that 26 and divide by 2, because that each one layer of the inner layers is 0.02 centimeters thick. And so we're going to end up with 13 inner layers, which is answer choice A. Next, problem 10. The table shows how many cars Jing sold each month last year. What is the median of the table of data? And I've seen students just kind of rearrange all these in order. Well, that's going to take too much time. You just need to cross off highest and lowest alternatively. And so I'm going to cross off this 29 and this 13. The highest and the next highest is 28. Next lowest is 15. Next highest is 27. Next lowest looks to be 16. Next highest is 26. Next lowest looks to be 19. Next highest would be a 25 here, and next lowest would be this 19. And so we're left with this 22 plus 25, and you have two numbers for a median. You take the average of those two numbers, which you're going to get 47 divided by 2, or that's going to be 23.5. So answer choice for this one is K. Next problem, 11. Students studying motion observe a cart rolling according to the table shown. The rate is constant. I saw a couple students put a linear regression in a calculator. No, this is just too much time. What you need is this. If you know y equals mx plus b, the slope-intercept form, we know that because it's a constant. Well, the b is going to be where the output value where x equals 0, or in this case t equals 0. So 14 is going to be our y-intercept. So anything else, anything besides 14 as a y-intercept, you cross off. And the next thing, we look for the increase. And we know we increase, we go up from 14 to 20, that's 6, every time we go over 1 in time. So that's going to be, our m is going to be 6. So that leaves answer C is our correct choice. Should be real fast. I took twice as much time as it should take you to do a similar problem here next week when you take the test. 12. The length rectangle with area equal 54 centimeters squared is 9 centimeters. So for this, we need to know the formula of area equals length times width. And so if we know the area, which we do, is 54, it's going to be equal to the length, which is 9, times the width. So width is going to be 54 over 9. And you can think of it as what times 9 equals 54. So 6. And if you're not careful with that, you pick F. But perimeter is all distance around, so it's going to be 2L plus 2W. 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. And so we're going to have, in this case, 2 times 9 plus 2 times 6, and that's going to be equal to 30, which is answer choice K. Next problem, 13. The figure below, C is the intersection of line segment AD and line segment BE. If it can be determined, what is the measure of angle BAC? We're trying to find this angle here. It ends up being angle A right here, BAC, starting at B, the center one is A. And so to do that, we only have one angle inside this triangle. But because of the principle of vertical angles, this angle here on the other side of C is also going to be 45 degrees. And so we know that this angle A is going to be 180 minus 45 minus 35 degrees, which is going to be 100 degrees. So that's answer choice B. Again, you could do this problem in half the time that I did here in this video. Antoine drew the circle graph below. What should be the measure of the central angle for the core subject's sector? And here we have one set up, the core subject sector, and there's more to this about a instructor noticing the difference. Well, you have 4 hours here in core subjects, and your total amount of time, you get 4 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 9. So you should get 4/9. And if you work out the math here, 4/9 times 360 is going to be your answer. But it's even easier given the answer choices than that, because we know that 4/9 is a little less than 1/2. Well, 1/2 of 360 is equal to 180. So our true answer is going to be a little less than 180, and H is the only one that comes close to that. Next, problem 15. This month, Cami sold 70 figurines in 2 sizes. The large ones were $12 each, the small ones were $8 each. The amount of dollars was the same for each size. How many large figurines did Cami sell? I had a student who really had a good strategy on this one, and what it is, if you take this figure of 70 and we divide by 2, we're going to get 35. Now, if you happen to sell 35 large figurines, you're definitely at $12 each going to make more than you are for the small figurines. So this answer C is wrong. D, consequently, with more large figures, and E with more large figures, they have to be wrong too. And so you're left with 28 or 20. So if we try 28, and 28, which is large figurines, times 12, and then figure that, and then we have the small figurines, which is going to be 70 minus 28, which is going to be 42, times 8. And you work these out. I'm going to go to the calculator this time. And you notice this is the first time I actually went to the calculator. I assumed you did other calculations, so you get 336. And the next one here, you have 70 minus 28, and it's going to be times 8. We get the same dollar value. So going back here, our correct answer is, it's going to be 336 for each. So 28 is the one that works for us. Next problem, 16. A car accelerated from 88 feet per second to 220 feet per second in exactly 3 seconds. Assuming acceleration was constant, what was the car's acceleration feet per second as it went from 88 feet per second to 220 feet per second? Well, for that, we're just going to take 220 and subtract out 88. This is going to give us our total amount of velocity increase in that period of time. So we get 132. And over how much time does this 132 feet per second increase occur? Well, it occurs over 3 seconds. And so that's going to be, when you work it out, it's going to be 44 feet per second, which is, of course, answer choice H. Next, 17. In a plane, the lines AB and CD intersect at A, where A is between C and D. If the measure of angle BAC is 47 degrees, what is the measure of angle BAD? Again, this one here, the challenge is you don't have a picture, so you can quickly draw a picture. And here I'm going to draw the picture of this line in CD. And next thing I did is I drew the line AB. Or, yeah, I wrote like this. AB, like this. But then I read, well, A is right between C and D. So I'm going to cross out that A and make this the A down here. Well, if the measure of angle BAC, and they start at BAC, so if this angle right here is 47 degrees, what is this angle going to be right here? I'm going to put a question mark. Well, we're talking about supplementary angles. So 180 degrees is going to equal 47 plus our unknown x. So we subtract out 47. So what plus 47 equals 180? Well, it's going to be 133 degrees. Next problem, 18. In which the following are 1/2, 5/6, and 5/8 arranged in ascending order? Well, ascending means getting larger, and so to be in ascending order, we have to start with the smallest one. So of these answer choices, F through K, the only one that has this smallest number as an initial number is answer choice F. So again, if you read this, think about it, it should take you, again, half the time it took me to do it here in video. Problem 19. Now there are a bunch of different ways to do this. You can go ahead and figure out, you have, if you move over decimal places, you have 6.7 times 10 to the 8th plus 7 times 10 to the 8th, and you add those together, you get 13.7 times 10 to the 8th. Well, to make the standard scientific notation, we need to move that decimal place one more left. We'll get 1.37 times 10 to the 9th. So our answer choice is D. I had students who got real good results on this by just putting these in the calculator, and I'll do that real quickly now here. You have 670 million plus 700 million, and we get this. And if I press Control Enter on my TI Inspire CX calculator, I get 1.37 times 10 to the 9th. So really just about as fast using a calculator in this case. 20. For trapezoid ABCD shown, line segment AB and DC are parallel to each other. The measures of interior angles are distinct, and the measure of angle D is x. What is the degree measure of angle A in terms of x? Well, what you have here is something called alternate interior angles. I'm going to draw this in black. So when you cross two parallel lines and you add these angles here, we know that this one here, I'm going to call y and x together, have to add up to 180. So we're going to say, in this case, measure of angle A, which was y here, plus a measure of angle x is going to have to be 180 degrees. And when we subtract out x and solve this equation, we get a equals 180 minus x degrees, which is going to be answer choice F. Next, 21. To get a driver's license, one must pass the written test and driving test. 80% pass the written test, 60% of those who pass the written test then pass the driving test. Based on these figures, how many in a random group of 1,000 would you expect to get a driver's license? Well, for this, you take your 1,000 to start out with, and you multiply that by 80% who pass the written test, which is going to be 0.8. Well, 1,000 times 0.8, that's going to be 800. And now out of these 800, we're going to take them and multiply that by 60%, which is 0.6. And so we have 800 times 0.6 is 480. And then we circle answer choice B. Should be a pretty easy one. Okay, answer choice, this is problem 22. If A, B, and C are positive integers such that A to the power of B equals X and C to the power of B equals Y, what is XY? Well, then XY is going to have to be equal to A to the B times C to the B. And that's going to be really AC to the power of B. And if you doubt what that is, you can use dummy numbers for that. I did this in class. You can say, okay, is 2 to the power of 2, and we're going to let C be 3 times 3 to the power of 2. What is that going to be? Well, that's going to be 4 times 9 equals 36. Are we going to get the same thing if we take 2 times 3 in parentheses and raise that whole thing to the power of 2? Yes, we're going to get 6 squared equals 36. So our correct answer to this is H. Next, 23. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to 1/2 y squared times 26x plus 2y plus 2x minus 2y. So we can cancel out the 2y minus 2y. So what we have left is 1/2 y squared times what we have left here is inside is 18x. Well, 1/2 of 18 is 9, so we have 9xy squared. So our correct answer to this is A. Next. An artist makes a profit of 500p minus p squared dollars. What is the fewest number of paintings the artist could sell to make a profit of at least $60,000? So the strategy I'm going to demonstrate here is, and we have something you can't readily recognize what the answer is, pick the one in the middle. So I'm going to use 200 initially. So I'm going to my calculator, and I'm going to take 200 and store that value. I press Control var X. So 200 is stored for X. Next, I'm going to take the equation, which is 500x 500p minus x squared, and we get this. We get 60,000. So we go back here and we see, well, H is a possible answer, but we're not sure at this point that if it's our lowest. And so we can take the next lowest, which is 150. If we do that, I'm going to take 150, Control var X, and we get 150 stored here. In the same process as before, we take 500x here minus x squared, and we get for that less than 60,000. So we can assume here that our smallest number of paintings that's going to make this $60,000 profit possible is 200. I know it took me more than a minute average on that one. That's okay. Okay, 25. You had Lucy had expenses of $900. The pie chart breaks down expenses by category in which Lucy's expenses were greatest is what percent of total expenses. Well, we already know our total expenses we got from the text were $900, and that could save us from having to add all these up. And so we have 254 over 900 for our answer, and so we go to 254 over 900, and we get, I have to press Control Enter to get it S1. So a little over 28%. So that's going to be closest to answer choice B. Next, 26. In the figure below, the measure of angle BAC is x plus 20 degrees, and the measure of angle BAD is 90 degrees. What is the measure of angle CAD? And so you're trying to find this angle right here, C. Actually, the one I just drew the question mark in there, that's going to be x plus 20. And this one here is what we don't know. Okay? We don't know that. But what do we know? We know that this angle here, B, CAD, which I'll call question mark, plus this x plus 20 is going to be equal to 90 because of the whole complementary angles. So if we take question mark is going to be equal to 90 minus this x plus 20, and that's going to simplify to 70 minus x degrees. So our correct answer to this one is G. Next, 27. What is the perimeter in inches of the isosceles right triangle shown, whose hypotenuse is 8 square root of 2 inches? So for this isosceles right triangle, we should know that these angles here are 45 degrees. And we might remember from geometry class that the configuration for the sides of an isosceles right triangle is x, x, x squared root of 2. And if the hypotenuse here, the hypotenuse is 8 square root of 2 inches, so we have 8 square root of 2 is going to be this. Well, if 8 square root of 2 equals x squared root of 2, what do we have? Well, excuse me, 8 square root of 2 equals x square root of 2. We can cancel out the square root of 2, so we have x equals 8. So this one here is 8. This other side at the right is 8. 8 plus 8 plus 8 square root of 2 is going to be answer choice E. Next problem, 28. The equation y equals ax squared plus bx plus c is graphed in the standard xy coordinate plane below for real values of a, b, c. When y equals 0, which of the following best describes solutions for x? Well, you're crossing the x-axis twice. That means there are two zeros or solutions for this. And so we say we have two solutions, one to the left side of the y-axis and one to the right side, the left side one being negative, the right side one being positive. So we say the answer is H, one positive real solution and one negative real solution. 29, what is the product of the complex numbers quantity negative 3i plus 4 and quantity negative 3i plus 4? Well, for that, what we're going to have is we're going to have, when you work it out, you're going to have negative 3i times 3i plus 4 times 4. And so this 4 times 4 is obviously going to be 16. Well, this negative 3i times 3i is actually going to be negative, and we know that's going to be a square root of 2. So we have 3 squared, and we have the square root of I, which is negative square root of 1 squared. And you work this all 8, you get 9. So 9 plus 16. This one you can put in, if you have a TI-84 calculator, you can put in complex number mode and just type these in directly and get that. So if you have a TI-84, that could make this one easier. Problem number 30, the radius of the base of a circular cone shown below is 5 inches, the height of the cone is 7 inches. Solving which of the following equations gives the measure B, measure theta, and that's equations plural there. And what you have is you have the angle here. And so you go to the opposite. 7 is the opposite. 5 is the adjacent. So tangent equals, I'll say tangent theta equals opposite over adjacent. In this case, you have the tangent of this theta, and your opposite is 7 over 5. And so your correct answer to this is G. You pre-calculus students of mine, and we're going to go over this later this year. Okay, now problem 31. To make a 750-piece puzzle more challenging, puzzle company includes 5 extra pieces in the box along with 750 pieces. So this is key, 5 extra pieces in the box along with. So that's going to be 5 plus 750. And then you're going to pull 1 out, and you know there are 5 there. And so you can get 5 over 755, which is going to be answer choice D. Next, 31. What fraction lies exactly halfway between 2/3 and 3/4? Well, 2/3, our common denominator is going to be 12. We multiply 3 times 4. And so 2/3 is going to be 8/12. And then 3/4 is going to be 9/12. Well, between 8 and 9, we have halfway is going to be this one, 8.5 or 8.5/12. Well, to convert this to a whole number on top, which we need, we multiply the denominator by 2, we get 24. We multiply 8.5 by 2, we get 17. Another thing I saw some people do in my class is they just entered the decimals. And so you got 0.66 for 2/3 and 0.75 for 3/4. And then you go check equivalency, and the only one between those two decimal values is answer choice K. Should be a real fast one. All right, this drawing here and text has to do with problems 33 through 35. And I told my students, just don't read the whole thing. Just look at the drawing and say, okay, we're talking about a 12 by 15 room with some cabinetry in it. Because you really have to look at you can take too much time kind of studying up the problem. You need to go ahead and get these problems done. And so right now you have a 15-foot wall is how long the scale drawing, inches, and then what is the only part of this thing that has anything to do with that? Well, it's going to be this conversion factor I'm now boxing in red. So you have, and you know 15 feet. So you go back here, you say we have 0.25 inches per 2 feet. And we're trying to find a 15-foot wall. So if we multiply by 15 feet, we have feet over feet cancel units. So you have 0.25 times 15 over 2, and you work that all out, you're going to get 1.875. So that's your answer to 33. 34, Gianna will install tile on the portion of the floor not covered by cabinets, and the not is capitalized. And so what you have to do is go back and figure out what area of the floor. Now you know from the drawing that 12 times 15 is your total area. You have 12 times 15, but you're going to have to subtract out the cabinet area. Well, you have 12 by 2 against the right wall, so that's going to be 24, but you have this cabinetry here in the middle of the floor. What you have in the bottom of the text, you read you have 4 cabinets, and this 3 feet tall, that's not important. What's important is each cabinet, each of these 4 cabinets that are installed in the center are 2 feet wide by 4 feet deep. And so we're going to have 4 cabinets in the center, each 2 by 2. So that's going to be 4, 4, 4, 4. We're going to have 16 square feet there. And so we subtract 24 for the cabinet against the wall, and 16 for the cabinets in the center. We get 140 square feet. So our correct answer to this is answer choice H. Problem 35. Now problem 35 is more detailed and requires you to go back and look at it. Now you have a fixed charge, kind of a $650 for labor, and that labor charge is going to stay the same, right? It says the charge, the labor charge, which is going to be $650, and the charge per cabinet is the same. So we have to go back to our original problem and say, okay, we have $2,150 as the quote. So how many cabinets total is that? Well, we have our 4 in the middle, we know that, but we have a 12 by 2 on the right side. Well, that's going to be, if we take 12 divided by, because they are each 2 by 2, if we take 12 divided by 2, we have 6. So we know we have 10 cabinets now, and so we go down to our 10 cabinets. We know we have 2100, or excuse me, 2150 was our total charge, and we know our fixed cost was $650. So we know those 10 cabinets installed cost $1,500. So to find for twice as many cabinets, it's going to be twice that $1,500. So we're going to have 650 plus 2 times our $1,500. And we work this out, we get $3,650, which is answer choice D. Next, 36. Which following is a graph of the region 1 is less than x plus y is less than 2. So for this, I'm going to go to another page to leave room, and I'm going to rewrite these equations as x plus y is less than 2, and also x plus y is greater than 1. And then if we solve for y, we subtract x from both sides of this first inequality and x from the second side, we get y is less than 2 minus x, and we have y is greater than 1 minus x. And so what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at negative sloped lines here, aren't we? So we cross out F, G, H. Well, less than negative 2 is going to be, there it is, and that's choice J, and greater than 1, less than 2, greater than 1, J is our correct answer. Problem 37, we have what is the difference between the mean and the median of the set 3, 8, 10, 15. So you take 3 plus 8 plus 10 plus 15, and we divide by 4, we get 36 divided by 4, or 9. And if we're kind of lazy about that, and we don't go on to the next step, we might be tempted to pick D, but that's going to be just the mean. Now the median, we can just cross out lowest here, the lowest and the highest, and we have 8 plus 10 over 2, which is going to be 18 over 2, which is 9. And so 9 minus 9, no difference. Answer choice is A. Next problem, 38. Which of the following describes the true relationship between functions f(x) is quantity x minus 3 squared plus 2 and g of x equals 1/2 x plus 1, graph below a standard point. This is an easy one, guys. How many places are these functions here, the linear one and the quadratic one, touching each other? Twice, here and here. So we have f of x equals g of x for exactly 2 values of x. There we go. Now, we have another 3-problem set. Use the following information to answer questions 39 through 41. Trapezoid ABCD is graphed in the standard XY coordinate plane. The first problem we're asked is what is the slope of line segment CD? And when we go to CD, we see a going down segment. So that would be a negative sloped line segment. So anything that's not negative, we cross out. Next, we can go here and look at the answers. We can take, just make a little table here and put 9 comma 4 here, and right below it 12 comma 1. And we can take top from bottom or bottom from top. Well, 4 minus 1 on the right is 3, 9 minus 12 on the left is negative 3, and 3 over negative 3 equals negative 1. And if we just looked at it and trusted the dimensional accuracy of this drawing to any extent, we maybe could notice that the best answer for slope would be negative 1, which is B. Next problem we have, when ABCD is reflected over the y-axis to A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime, what are the coordinates of D prime? Well, we go to the drawing here, and D prime, if we reflect over the y-axis, we take it way over here, and the y value stays the same. But we go over here to negative 12. We go over here to negative 12, comma 1. So our correct answer for this one, which really should be quite easy, is going to be answer choice F. Next, 41 is the more challenging one of the bunch. Which of the following vertical line cuts ABCD into equal areas? Well, we go back here and we look at our thing, and if we take, the way I talked about this was just look at an average here. If we take the average x value between this one over here to the right at point D, 12, and over to the left at point A, 2, we have 12 plus 2 over 2, and that's going to be 7. So x equals 7 is going to be our vertical line that's going to be equidistant between point A and D. So I can just draw a vertical line here that is just about halfway. Now, just looking at that, what's going to have more area? Well, obviously, this part on the left is, because this corner here is cut off. So I just drew that in purple. So now they're close to the same area. So next we can try. So this is going to be 7 at 7. Now the answer choices are 6.5. So if we go to 6.5, right over here just a little to the left, we might be able to see that those areas here, this one on the left that I'm now kind of putting in blue, and the one on the right that I'm now putting in red, are pretty close to equal. And next we can go over to 5.5. Well, if we go to 5.5, we can see that these two areas are no longer really close to equal. So just based on that analysis, we can go and pick answer choice E as our reasonable answer. And yeah, you can work out the math on that. That could take a little bit of time. All right, 42, given f of x equals x minus 1 over x and g of x equals 1/2, what is f of g of 1/2? So what we're doing is we're taking this 1/2 g, which is g, and plugging it in for this x here, and also for this x here. So f of g of 1/2 is equal to, we have 1/2 minus 1 over 1/2. And I told my students today that dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by what? Its reciprocal. So we can take this 1, instead of dividing by 1/2, we multiply by 2 over 1. And so we have 1/2 minus 2, which is the same as 1/2 minus 4/2, which equals negative 3/2. So our correct answer to this one is G. Okay, next, let's go to problem 43. 43, the formula to estimate monthly payment P dollars on a short-term loan is P equals 1/2 ARY plus A over 12Y, where A dollars is the amount of the loan, and so forth. When A is multiplied by 2, what is the effect on P? Well, A is in each term here in the numerator. And so if we multiply each of these in the numerator by 2, we necessarily, that's like multiplying that whole equation on the right side of the equation by 2. We have to necessarily, because of the golden rule of algebra, we're doing the same thing on the other side of the equation, multiply the left side by 2. So our correct answer is D. P is multiplied by 2. Now, problem 44. We have the points E, 6, 4, and F, 14, 12 lie on the standard xy coordinate plane and so forth. And point D lies but on E of F, but E and F such the length of EF is 4 times the length of DE. So we can just, if we want to, just draw an estimate there. Okay, that's about 1/4 the distance. And we can just see what does common sense tell us it might be. Well, I'm not sure, but the difference between this x-coordinate 14 and 6, well, that's going to be 8. And then if we have 1/4 the distance, we have to take that 8 divided by 2, which equals, no, excuse me, 8 divided by 4, which is 1/4, which equals 2. So in this E thing, you're going to have 6 plus 2, as our x-coordinate, so that's going to eliminate j, k, and f. And then the next one, we have 12 minus 4, our y values, which equals 8, and 8 divided by 4, that is also 2. So we have to add to, for the x value, excuse me, I said, yeah, it would be 6 plus 2. There we go, 6 plus 2. And so for the y value, we have to take this 4 plus 2. So we end up with 8 comma 6, which is answer choice G. Should be a pretty easy one. 45, given that A times this matrix here, I looked at this, I said, man, this looks like a hard one. I don't remember doing matrices like this. I haven't taught the subject that did matrices. The guys in class today in Algebra 2 said, yeah, in Algebra 2 we did this last year a little bit. But what you're looking for is proportionality. You multiply this matrix on the left by A and you get the one on the right. Well, the only numbers that give us any idea of what that factor is going to be, what A is going to be, are these two, 27. So what do you multiply by 6 to get 27? Well, you have to multiply by 27 over 6. And if you simplify that, you're going to get 9 halves, or decimalize 4.5. And you can test it out to see that's the case. And so to get what x is, we have to take this value in the place of x on the left, which is 2, and multiply it by 4.5 or 9 halves, and we're going to get that. And then for z, well, in the place of z is 4. So for z, we have 4 times 4.5, and we get an answer there. So 2 times 4.5, that is 9. 4 times 4.5 is 18. And if we add these two together, we get 27. Our answer choice is D. Next, 46. A container is 1/8 full of water. After 18 cups of water added, the container is 3/4 full. What is the volume of the container in cups? To me, the easiest way to work this out was to really write an equation. If we consider the total volume of that container to be x, we could write this equation as 1/2 x plus how many cups of water we added. We added 10 is equal to how much? We have 3/4 of the container, 3/4 x. Now you can solve for x and all that. That won't be too hard for a lot of algebra students to do. But I told my students to use their calculator. We have one thing on T9SPIRE-CX calculator. It's called NSolve. You press algebra, numerical solve, and you just put in the equation. So you say 1/8 x. So I'm going to put 1 over 8 and times x. And then to that we're going to add 10, and that's going to equal 3/4 x. So 3 over 4 times x. And then next we have to put comma x for what we're going to solve for. And it would be a whole lot easier if you use like 0.125 for 1/8 and 0.75 for 3/4, and then you press that, you get 16. So this is shouldn't be too hard of a problem. Next, 47. You have only 10th, 11th, and 12th graders attend WHS. And we have a ratio. And the first one we have is this one. We have for our 10th graders, we have a ratio of 86 over 255. And for our 11th graders, we have a ratio of 18 to 51. And so if we go to our calculator, we can put in 86 over 255, and we get, control enter, we get 0.337. So going back here, we say approximately 0.337. For the 18 over 51, we can go back here and put in 18 divided by 51, enter, we get 6/17. We get looks like 0.353. So going over here, we say approximately 0.353. Now, we have enough to answer the question, because if you have just random choice, you should expect all of these to be 1 divided by 3, or 0.333. Well, the last one, the 12th graders, is going to have to be about 0.31. So our biggest class is going to have to be this 11th grade class. And so with that information, we're able to circle in answer choice B. Next, 48. We have 4 square root of 2 plus 4 over square root of 2 plus 2 over square root of 3 is equal to what? Well, what we have is a common denominator. If we take the square root of 2 times square root of 3, and for that we're going to have over square root of 6, and then we kind of cross multiply the deal. So we're going to have also 4 square root of 3 plus 2 square root of 2, and that's going to be answer choice H. Another thing you can do, not answer choice H, actually mark wrong, answer choice G. Another thing you can look for is numerical equivalency. You just put these numbers in the calculator. I think you get about 3.98. You just test for equivalency going down, and you circle the right answers. That shouldn't take too long either. Next, 49. You have the shaded region of the graph below represents the solution set to which of the following systems of inequalities. So you have this line at y equals negative x plus 2, and you're shaded below the line. And so what is that going to be? Greater than, y is greater than negative 2 plus 3, or less than negative 2 plus 3? Well, it has to be less because we're shaded below. So anything with y is greater than negative x plus 2, cross it out. Next, we have this circle, and we have quantity x plus 1 squared plus quantity y minus 2 squared, and quantity x minus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 9. And so we're inside the circle. So is that going to be less than 9 or greater than 9? Well, that's going to be less, because if it's greater than 9, we're going to have shaded everything outside the circle, right? But less than 9, we're shading inside the circle. So our answer choice is going to be A. Next, 50. You can find the volume of solid by submerging it in water, and calculating how much water the object displaces. You completely submerge an object into a tank of water of a rectangular base. So you're talking about an aquarium, really. So if you have you're looking for the rectangular base. So the rectangular base is going to be, I can't even draw this halfway accurately. So you have this rectangle I'm drawing here. Okay, that's going to be close enough. You have the base is going to be 40 centimeters by 30. And so the area of the base is going to be 30 times 40, which is equal to 1,200 centimeters cubed. And if you raise this thing by 1 centimeter, you'd have 1,200 cubic centimeters, right? But what you have to do is take this 1,200 and multiply it by the 0.25 centimeters that it was raised, and for that you're going to get 300 as an output, which is answer choice F. Next, problem 51. If the ratio of x to y is 5 to 2 and y to z is 3 to 2, what is the ratio of x to z? And what you have here is a 5 to 2 ratio here, and below this a ways I'm going to put a 3 to 2 ratio. And what you want is the middle ones to be the same, and you have them different. So you have to make a choice. You have to either multiply this top ratio so that the y1 is 3, or divide the bottom one so that y1 is, the y side here on the left is 2. Most of my students felt that multiplying by 3 halves would be the easiest way to do that. So if you multiply this ratio by 3 halves, you have 3 times 5 divided by 2. So you can have 15 halves here, and then over here on the right you have 3 halves times 2 is 3. And so now your y's are the same in each, so your true ratio is going to be 5 halves to 2. or divided by 2. And to do that, we have dividing by a fraction is the same, that's a 15. Dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So we divide it by 2 over 1, we multiply by 1 over 2. When we just multiply across, we get 15/4. So our correct answer to this one is going to be answer choice E, 15 to 4 ratio. 52, which of the following is the solution statement for the inequality shown below? So I'm going to rewrite this thing to give myself a little more room here in the middle. So -5 is less than 1 minus 3x, which is less than 10. And so what you have is it's kind of like an equation, except with these inequalities you have, like, you consider 3 sides. So we're going to solve for the middle here, and to do that we're going to subtract 1 from each side, each of the 3 sides. So we have -5 minus 1 is -6, which is less than -3x, which is less than 10 minus 1, which is 9. And now we're going to divide everything to solve for x by -3. So -3, -3, -3. And when we do that, when you divide by a negative number, we have to switch the direction of the inequality. So we have x in the middle, and then we have -6 divided by -3, which is 2 on the left side. On the right side, we have 9 divided by -3, which is -3. So which is our correct answer? Well, really it's the same as h, because it's the same as h but ordered differently. So h is our correct answer. Next, 53. We have formula for surface area A, one rectangular solid, and I give the whole equation, make it a lot more complicated than it has to be. Well, what you're doing, if you're saying, okay, you're just finding area, so if you say this left side, h is equal to 1, right, then an area would be, WH would be 1 times 1, or 1. And so next, if we change that to 2, I'm going to do that in red. If we have 2 times 2, that's 4. And so that doubling the linear dimensions of each side is going to increase the area by a factor of 4. Now, if you happen to get a problem like this that has to do with volume, it would be a factor of 8, because you'd have to multiply that length by 2 again. So just look out for things, be aware. Problem 54, dog eats 7 cans of food in 3 days. At this rate, how many cans of food does the dog eat in 3 plus d days? Well, per day, if you have 7 cans in 3 days, that would be 7/3 cans per day, right? And so for that, if we went 3 days, well, we're going to multiply that by 7/3 cans per day plus 7/3 times the rest of the day's d. Well, 3 over 3 cancel, we get 7 plus 7/3 d, so our correct answer for that is K. Next, 55. Kelly asked 120 students a question about skiing. The results of the poll are shown in the table below. And here you have you 65 answered yes. After completing the poll, Kelly wondered how many of the students polled had skied both cross-country and downhill. How many of the students polled indicated they had skied both cross-country and downhill? Well, here 65 said yes to the first question, but when polled about each separate event, we had 28 plus 45. Well, 28 plus 45 is 73. Therefore, 73 minus 65, which equals 8, had done both. And so our answer choice for this one is E. Next, 56. We have the square below divided into segments, and bottom line says, what fraction of this total square area is region labeled A? Well, we should know that each one of these rows here is 1/3 of the total area. And so I just put 1/3 next to each of these, and then of that 1/3, well, 1/2 of that first row is that, and 1/3 of that second row is that, and finally 1/4 of that last row is that. So what we have here is 1/6 plus 1/9 plus 1/12. And you can go get common denominators and all this, or just, if you just put these in a calculator, I'll show you this. 1/6, 1/6 plus, and it's going to be faster for you. I have more limited dexterity having to use my little writing pad here. I don't know what happened here. My battery go out or something? Yeah, my battery's low. So I'm going to go into the, I'm going to pick up the charging bay here, and the thing will charge while I'm at work. Just overuse the thing. Okay. Okay, I have it now. So I can take plus, tells you I've been using this thing too long, 1/12, and we add these together, we get 13/16. So that is our answer choice K. Next, 57. We have the functions y equals sine x and y equals sine quantity x plus a plus b for constants a and b are graphed in the standard xy coordinate plane below. Functions have the same maximum value. Well, the same maximum value is going to be informed by what b is. B is going to be what shifts the thing up and down. And so really our only answer choice that's possible here is answer choice A, where b equals 0, where we have no change. And then this A is going to shift this thing right or left. So that's what 57 is. 58, easier than it looks. You're trying to find which of the following number line graphs shows the solution set to the inequality. The absolute value of quantity x minus 5 is less than -1. Well, is it possible for the absolute value of any real number to be less than 0? No. And so this thing is totally impossible. So your answer choice, the only one that makes any sense, is answer choice K. And you can try answers out for it, and I guess you could put numbers to the left of 4, like 3, and then 5, and then 7, and test that way too. But you come up blank for any of them, because it's just not anything there. Okay, 59. As a part of probability experience, Elliot is to answer for multiple choice questions. Well, you have 3 answers, and so you have 1/3 is that one question, 1/3 is that second question, the third question is 1/3 probability of getting it right, and the last one is 1/3 probability. And if you multiply all this together, you get 1 in the numerator and 81 in the denominator. Your only answer choice here is E. Next, the last one here is 60. The sides of an acute triangle measure 14, 18, and 20 centimeters respectively. Which of the following equation solved for theta gives the measure of smallest angle triangle? Well, you're going to have, the only way you can find angles when you just have the sides is the law of cosines. So anything that's not law of cosines, you can just cross out. And then you're going to try the smallest angle, and you find the smallest angle by getting the smallest side on the other side opposite this. So our correct answer choice is J. I know I went through these real fast, but I think we did it in roughly 60 minutes. So I hope this has been helpful to you. Good luck. You're going to see a lot of problems like this, and I hope that some of the strategies I talked about, if you find yourself spending more than 2 minutes on a problem, my advice, get and go. Guess and go. And then if you have time to come back to it, do, but don't assume that you will. You got to make sure you get to the problems that are easy, because there's going to be a lot of easy ones strewn all throughout. I say to you testers here, ACT testers, good luck, and thanks for viewing.